Because I don't know if you've ever booted up a PS1 and played it again, but input latency is a thing. Like,
Yes.
I tried to play Crash Bandicoot on the PS1 not too long ago, yeah. I could not make a jump for my life, yeah. Because I'm pressing X and he jumped like 3 seconds later. I don't understand how we did it.
Hello, hey everyone, and welcome to Melanin Gamers Podcast. Yay, we are back again this week. And this week we are talking about, I'm here with OG Otaku
Yeah, yeah.
and Obsidian Fury, aka Trademark Pending.
Why do you have to be disrespectful? What's going on here?
I was, and today we are talking about remasters and remakes. So huge thanks to AspyrMedia for gifting us this code to the first Lara Croft's 1, 2, 3 remastered. Thank you so much. Tomb Raider. We all remember old school Tomb Raider. Everyone was obviously living the same life because I thought it was just Alan and I who were depraved, who would lock the butler in the freezer. Come to find out that we all did the same thing. We need help. But that has just recently come out. It just dropped on Friday, the 16th of February, 2024. They remastered the whole game of Lara Croft from PlayStation 1 to PlayStation 5. So that's a big jump. And I, for one, am very glad because I can get to play it with like these fresh graphics. And it's also a lot of nostalgia because you can still play it in the old. You can switch actually from the old mode to the new mode, and we've been playing it. It's been a lot of fun. And even a few weeks ago's podcast, we had Last of Us 2 that has been remastered as well. There's been Uncharted, Dead Souls, Dead Space, Resident Evil, Final Fantasies. The list goes on and on. But do we need these many remasters or remakes of games? Call of Duty, we're looking at you. Obsidian Fury, I'm going to go to you because I know you have a gripe with remasters and remakes.
I don't have a okay.
Yes, you do.
Okay.
But okay, I think it's like prudent to know the definition, or what I think the definition is between like the four that we always hear. So a remake involves rebuilding the game from the ground up, and it normally focuses on a brand enhancing the original game's visuals. So for examples of this is like the Resident Evil 2 remake, which was from the Resident Evil 2 that was released by Capcom in the late 90s. And then there's a remaster, which is essentially what The Last of Us Part 1, is it Part 1 or Part 2? I think it's Part 2 did, which was it essentially updates the graphics with higher resolutions and it improves texture, and there's essentially just better lighting. Then there are reboots and there's reimaginings, and I can go into those ones, but I think we're going to stick with the remakes and remasters. I have no problem with remakes because oftentimes remakes are very, very old games that just need to be updated for a more modern audience, because as a modern audience, we kind of just expect things to be in our games. So I have no gripe with that, but I think my issue is that people often confuse the two, and remasters are, I think, a cash grab oftentimes. Now, I have no problem with remasters, I think, but I prefer an industry that's more heavily reliant on remakes rather than remasters, because a lot of the time, a lot of the new games that are coming out, they only provide an experience, whereas the games that we had back in my day, we could play them for years. So when a game came out, we played it for years on end. So, for example, Prince of Persia, the third one, I played that for years. I played it over and over again. Same with Call of Duty. Same with, the old Call of Duties, all those kind of old games. Those games were, I don't want to say more complete, but there was more longevity to them because of how much time went into making them. Whereas games nowadays, and understandably so because of the new climate, they have a shorter shelf life, or they're more live service. So they're being constantly updated and maintained, and the maintenance is just a lot higher. Now, if you guys know me, I've never ever shied away from making my thoughts known about remakes, but oftentimes, remasters, but oftentimes I think that they're remaking the wrong games. That's my main gripe. They often look at the numbers of how well that game did and say, let's just do it again. And that is a level of laziness, but it's a business, and considering the kind of economy we're in right now, I can understand why they would do that. But to me, I didn't need another Last of Us remaster. I didn't need that. From Naughty Dog, what I could have had was another, what's that franchise called that I really love? That's from
Crash Bandicoot.
Crash Bandicoot, that was a good remake.
Uncharted.
I could use another Uncharted. So to me, there are a lot of old games, and the reason why I don't like remasters and remakes is because I actually enjoyed the progression of a game, and seeing how it can be improved. So examples of that is Assassin's Creed 2, where we went from Assassin's Creed 1, and then look at the progression that they made in Assassin's Creed 2. It became game of the decade, for crying out loud. Same with GTA, same
A beautiful
with The Witcher.
game.
Exactly. Same with Titanfall 2. Look at the progression that you get in sequels when they're done right. And it's like these games go down in like bloody history of how well they are. And then you look at the original one, you're like, how on earth did they jump from this to that? And you're like, wow. So oftentimes when I'm playing games, like all my recent games I'm playing, I'm not looking at the game as itself. Like that's one aspect where I look at the game as its own identity, but I'm then looking at the future of this game and like I'm seeing the kind of possibilities of this game. It's like, where could they go from this? So me and Ojo Taku were playing some Helldivers the other day, and I'm like, we were talking about
hold on, Helldivers 2.
Yeah, sorry. Exactly.
Yeah,
another sequel.
Yeah.
So we were talking about like the progression of this game
because if you go back and look at Helldivers 1, they're two different games.
Bruv, I'm telling you. So my only issue is that remakes are absolutely fine as long as it's worth the remake, but there are certain remakes that are just not worth my time, and it's not worth. So, and oftentimes I think that they often remaster the wrong games. So I don't want another Last of Us. I think that game is an experience. It's not meant for longevity. You're meant to play and have a discussion afterwards. You're not meant to play that over and over again. But they're kind of getting caught up in that kind of Souls-esque kind of genre where it's like you have to have something that's a live service kind of game, and they're getting caught up in that. Whereas I'd rather have a remake of a game that didn't do so well but the fans loved, rather than a remaster of something that did really, really well and you're just trying to do a cash grab. That's essentially where I stand. So yeah, I'm willing to down this one.
I mean, everyone's entitled to their opinion. Do I agree? Probably not. Will I say my piece at the end? I definitely will. But OG, we're moving on to you. What do you think about remakes and remasters?
Funnily enough, I kind of share a stance with Dark Knight here. I'm not gonna lie.
What? Since when?
Welcome to the dark side, my friend.
No, because there's some points, and I'm gonna give some examples of them. So yes, a remaster in most cases doesn't run. Yeah, in certain media, a remaster can run, but in games, I'm not too sure, because certain games now, there are legacy games that we don't have access to anymore due to the platforms that they used to be on.
Yeah.
In those cases, remaster it, because without that remaster, that game's lost to time. Like, people can't play it, right? So in those cases, yes, but those are really old games now. Yeah. So when it comes to remakes, like when they actually remake the game, an old game from the ground up, love them. Can't get enough. Keep bringing those out. Yeah. We'll give examples, right? So Final Fantasy VII, yeah. Iconic Final Fantasy franchise, yeah. Cloud hadn't been out for decades, but everyone knows who Cloud is. Right, the new Final Fantasy remake where they've rebuilt the game from the ground up, amazing. Yeah, am I gonna play the second one coming out next week? 100%. Yeah, because they've put the work in, they've remade it from the ground up with new technology ideas that they developed over these decades of games design, and that works. Yeah, we get games like the new Persona 3 remake that came out. Persona 3 came out ages ago. It's had lots of remasters before, but this one was a remake from ground up, and you can see again in the quality of life improvements they've added to the gameplay and just the graphical fidelity that a remake was the good choice for that one. Now, when we're talking about remasters, there was one remaster that I wanted, and when it came out, I didn't get it because of the state it was in. And that was the Grand Theft Auto trilogy. Now, the Grand Theft Auto games, 1, 2, and 2, 3, and San Andreas, was it? Yeah. Right? So, obviously, those are some iconic games in the franchise. Again, some may be lost to time due to the systems that they were on. And I wanted to play it. But when it came out, as it was a remaster and not a remake, they've taken the base foundation of the old game and reskinned it, or tried to reskin it and mesh around the old things that they had from the old assets they had from the old game. It didn't work. The characters came out looking funny. It still played like the old game because they just skinned it over. It remastered. And, the old game was fun. And yeah, part of the getting the bike on the train is very difficult because of the controls back then, but it shouldn't be that way now. That needs a remake, not a remaster. And that's again, other games have come out, and I feel like when we get a remaster, it doesn't really work because we're just re-skinning, re-HDing the old game and assets. That again, it was fun for the time, but smooth controls is something we need now. And you're just giving me the same old janky controls and systems. but you made it
controls.
but you made it look good, is it really worth the 40, 50, 60 pound price tag they're gonna slap me with for it? Maybe not. Maybe not. Remakes, I think they're good. They definitely introduce a new generation to certain games. Like, look at the Resident Evil 4 remake, yeah? Again, Resident Evil 4, one of the most iconic games in the franchise. But have people had a chance to play it? No, it was lost to time. Now they've remade it, and look how well it done. We can definitely benefit as a community in the games industry from remaking from the ground up older games, bringing them to the new generation with the new quality of life improvements, and making it accessible for new people to get into and for old fans to gel with now. But in terms of these remasters, I do feel like they tend to be cash grabs. Usually, let's drop a GTA trilogy remaster, get a little cash injection so that we can run it on GTA 6. I get that. But what you've done is you've kind of just damaged your franchise's reputation now. Or like, now when I think back to GTA San Andreas, a couple of images of those messed up character designs are going to pop into my head. It used to be all nostalgia. Now there's jokes.
Now it's been memed.
Now it's been memed. You know what I mean?
No, I get. Let me. All right, go on. Devil's advocate, as per usual.
Yeah, obviously, but no. You go ahead and I'll play that.
Okay, well, I think you guys both made good points. I definitely agree with what you were saying, Ajitaku, about new fans, because some new fans they are so used to, like, some new gamers, I suppose. They're so used to, like, high quality graphics and stuff like that. If the game doesn't work a little bit right, no, they're not playing it. So I don't know what fan would have gone back to the first Lara Crofts and played those games, because my God, those graphics, what were we doing back then? But those were, at the time that it was released, state-of-the-art stuff. Yeah. You know when you go back and you rewatch old films and you're just like, huh? What is happening here?
Lara Croft looked exactly like the boxer. It was crazy.
But at the time, we were just like, oh my God, this is amazing. But people now will not go back and play those games. One, because maybe we still have the PlayStation 1, 2, 3, 4, and now the 5. We still have the old consoles. Yeah. If you don't have access, it's also an access issue. How can I play this old game if I have the physical edition of it? How can I play it if I don't have the right platform for it? You got to do different conversions, because I mean, the cables. Some of those things have SCART cable. What machine now even takes a SCART cable? Some people don't know what that is. Ask Gen Z what a SCART cable is; they will have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So red, green, and yellow.
Like literally, those a memory card, losing the memory card, those things. Now you've introduced a new set of fans to. Oh, I think I like this game. I've heard a lot about it. So let me go and try it. But they're not going to go back and play those old games. I think that's what remasters are good for. And in terms of remakes, I think they are good for that as well, where you reimagine. Sometimes maybe there was something you wanted to put in the original game, but that you weren't able to, or that the studio didn't approve at the time, but now that you can, it allows for some creativity here and there to be sprinkled on it. So I think that's why I kind of like remakes and remasters, because it's just like, oh, I remember this game, but now it looks a bit shiny. But it's like going to wash your car. It's the same old car. Once you have a little polish on, you're like, oh, this car is looking new again, So I think that's why I personally am a fan, and I have been enjoying the Lara Croft, and being able to play on my PlayStation 5 has been amazing, because I'm just like, wow, I can't believe it, and it's just so much tied to like childhood and stuff, and being able to play on the new gens. So that's why I'm a fan of it, I suppose.
I'm always in the mind. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, have you had a chance to play the old the old Tomb Raider games on your PS1? Because I don't know if you've ever booted up a PS1 and played it again, but input latency is a thing.
Yes.
I tried to play Crash Bandicoot on the PS1 not too long ago. Yeah, I could not make a jump for my life. Yeah, because I'm pressing X and he jumped like 3 seconds later. I don't understand how we did it, but
No,
input
we were built different.
latency. Yeah, we were built different. Input latency is crazy, and yeah, I just think in terms of remasters, maybe if that's fixed, we'll be all right.
And the camera angles, good God, wow. Wow. I remember some of those levels on Earthworm Jim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, if you're gonna give me a remaster, best believe you need to give me every single costume, pre-order pack, DLC code given, cheat code, the whole shebang bang needs to be included within that remaster. Yeah. No way would a remaster come out and you try to charge me £2.39p for a skin that came out over 10 years ago.
That's true.
To play
I
devil's
agree with that. Go on then. Well, that's all you like to play, apparently. The devil's advocate.
Yes, he needs representation. Anyway,
Okay.
I agree with you guys, but I do think. Do you think there is a space in this industry for remaster? Like, what is a good remaster in you guys' eye? Because, like we said, there's a distinction between a remake and a remaster. Like, and I always love a good remake, especially if it's a remake that is like a very old game. Not like a recent game. When I think of a remaster, the only way I can think of a good remaster is games that they might have not done so well, but the core mechanics and the core gameplay is there, and it just needs like another softer launch. So, for example, I think a good remaster would have been Cyberpunk 2077. That would have been a very good remaster for me, where it's like they fixed it and they've patched it, and it's like it had a very crappy launch. So what they do is they say remaster, and then they give it another softer launch so people can give like another chance. I think that in my head is the only time I can think of a time when I could actually like respect a remaster, because other times it just feels like cash grab. Whereas games like I can list numbers of games where it's like they like kind of imploded on themselves, but the core mechanics would really do well for the industry, and that kind of gameplay would really do well. So like examples is like Evolve. That's a 2016 game where it kind of imploded on itself because of microtransactions. That game if that game was remastered like in the next couple of years, I guarantee you that game would become an esports. That's how great that game was. But because of like it imploding on itself because of the microtransactions, saying remaster, not a remake. I don't want you to change anything from it. I just want you to remaster it, update the graphics. Yeah, seriously, update the graphics, make it improved, improve the textures, better lighting, all that kind of thing, and then we go from there. Like that is, I'm gonna pose this question to you guys. What is a good remaster in your opinion?
Now, it's funny because I've been sitting here trying to think of one, and every one that comes to mind is a remake, not a remaster. I can't think of a remaster that I've thought to myself, oh yeah, that actually worked really well. Like that was good, because most times when they do come out, like though remasters come out for other consoles, for like I don't know, they remastered the Batman Arkham series for the Switch. Yeah. Great. They somehow managed to get working on the Switch. Now I've seen it being played on the Switch, and it can get a bit janky and mad. Yeah. So is it a great remaster? No. Is it great that people on the Switch can have access to this game and experience it? Yes. But are they really experiencing the true game, like, because it is a bit messed up? Like it's just I don't know if there's a good remaster. I'm gonna say it like that, to be honest. Good remakes, 100%, I can tell you that. Like Pokemon remade Red and Blue, and that came back a few generations later, and everyone loved it because the exact same Pokemon game, but they remade it with better graphics and quality life improvements. Press R1 and L1 for this and stuff on the game.
Isn't that just like a glorified remaster then?
I think Last of Us, the first one, I think they did very well. I think they did very well to remaster it. That's because they went back into the studio and re-recorded, like when they did everything kind of again with better cameras, better lighting, everything like that. So when they reskinned it, it was still with like Ellie's the actress that plays Ellie and the actor that plays Joel, they went back in the studio and re-recorded all of that stuff again that they had done in the original game, so that with better like camera and all that, and you can actually see it's a major difference. So I think
I'm not disputing that.
I think that's a very good one. I think that's a very good one.
I think
that is good. But isn't that a remake?
No, that's a remaster.
That's a remaster.
Because a remake is when they actually like
they go in and they mess with the bones, the actual structural figures of it. Yeah.
So like Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 2 the remake are basically you're playing two different games essentially. But the core mechanics and everything core about the game, which made the game great, is still there. But like, for example, Resident Evil 2, it was fixed cameras, whereas Resident Evil the remake, it was a free-flowing camera. And that's a modernization for the modern audience, because I don't think a lot of audiences would mess around with a fixed camera point in different rooms.
No, not in this day and age. Are you crazy?
Exactly. So my only gripe is that they're remastering all the wrong games, because I do think there is a space for remastering in this
remakes.
industry.
Yeah.
No, not remakes. Remakes is any game that's like 20 years, not 20 years, I don't want to be mean, like 10 to 20 years plus, definitely has to have a remake. So, for example, people didn't understand why Resident Evil got so much hype, why it got like Netflix shows and stuff, until they played Resident Evil 1 and 2 remake. They're like, oh, this is why we were hyped up.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what I'm saying, introducing new fans. New fans are like, oh, okay.
Same with Dead Space, where it's like people were like, why was Dead Space like the game back in 08? And I'm like, listen. And then when they came out, and then that one is actually a remake. It's not a remaster. It's a remaster. It's a remake. It's not a remastering. It's a remake, because they did adjust some of the story elements in the game.
Yeah, there's certain PC games that I think would do really well for a remaster that are quite old. For example, like Dragon Age 1, you know. Good top-down PC game. It could do a remaster. It could get a remake. Any game can get a remake, but it didn't fully need a remake. A remaster on that, some HD graphics, just a few snips here, because it was a bit of a bloated game back then, but all of those things, and then package it out. People would love to play that again. Yeah. Fallout 1, like, again, it's a top-down isometric, like, playing Fallout 1 now, crazy, but remastered that, give it a little bit of HD sprinkle, and people play that again, no question about it. Half-Life.
Half-Life, oh my gosh.
Let's not even go to Half-Life right now, because we're gonna get people in the comments moving mad, because they've been promised that for what?
They're right.
That's what I'm saying. And they've been promised the next game, and like they've been waiting. Give them a remake. They'll stop waiting for a bit.
they got a remake. We got like that injection with the Half-Life Alyx. We got that injection.
Oh yeah, the VR one.
They said no.
Yeah,
they said no to that.
I get a drop on a cliffhanger. But anyway, I'm getting off topic, because
let's come back to it, because we're way over time. But I think we are all kind of in an agreement here, which is, again, crazy. But, remake remasters, they are good, but certain games don't need them per se, and certain games do. And I obviously personally love them, but I definitely think you guys have raised points where certain games, maybe they don't need them. They're kind of quite recent, and they don't really need to be done, because the graphics are still quite similar. Something like Lara Croft, oh my God, that from the box.
I think that game should have got a remake. I mean, it did kind of in 07.
Yeah, it did. So they've done both, and I think maybe both, if you have the budget for it, because that's also another thing. But I think they've done very well in terms of how they've done it. And you can actually just go back to the old graphics if you want to. So they've given you that option, which is quite nice.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Two things. When I said I meant red, white, and yellow, I think those are the three that go in the SCART cable. And number two, because it was bothering me. I said red, green, and that's the primary colors. But anyway, that's just off topic. And secondly, I think the new Tomb Raider was a reboot, not a remake, because the remake
the new Tomb Raider was a reboot.
Was a reboot. So there's also that reboot.
I played all three of them, loved it. Give me an
I'm always in the position of I'd rather a sequel to a game rather than a reboot or a remake of a game. Personally, I'd rather a sequel to a game. So I'd rather an Assassin's Creed 2 than let's remake Assassin's Creed 1, if that makes sense.
Oh no, I don't mind a reboot, not at all. Like, yeah,
Well, it's Assassin's Creed. I would like both. So there's that.
Assassin's Creed gets lost this way, but that's
yeah.
another.
No. Anyway, thank you guys for listening. It's been Obsidian Fury with me.
Yes, sir, my people.
And OG Attacky.
Yeah, guys, keep it OG.
And thanks, guys, for listening to the Melanin Gamers Podcast. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Okay.